Okay, this is lesson 6. We're going to try and draw a toaster on the left hand side. So the focus task is a toaster and the extension task is a kettle on the right hand side. So just like all the other exercises, you should have some isometric grid paper, which looks like this, either in your booklet or it will be in your subject knowledge organizer. Alternatively, you can use a set square. The first video on this playlist will show you how to make one if you don't have a set square. So the first thing we need to do is construct a crate for our toaster. So I'm going to pick the lowest, well, I'm actually not going to pick the lowest point, I'm going to pick this point here, the lowest point of the top crate. I'm going to position that roughly in the middle on the left hand side and about 3 centimeters off these little diagrams at the bottom here. So about 3 centimeters up from there. So just like we've done all the other times, we're going to draw the 3 lines, one to the left at 30 degrees, one vertical and one to the right. Because I want it to be a cuboid, this one, the width of it, I'm going to do or measure it around about 4 centimeters. The one on the right over here, I'm going to make that one about 6 or 7 centimeters. I've made it 7. So I'm going to go vertically upwards on the grid, vertically upwards on here. So all 3 of these are parallel. If I then pick the height, so I'd like it to be 5 centimeters there. So I'm going to go 30 degrees to the left until it hits that vertical line. It's going to go 30 degrees to the right until it hits the alternative the vertical line here. And then it's important that I bring these back at 30 degrees as well. So I've got one that way and I've got one coming in this way. So you can see by lifting it off the bottom here, I'm just about squeezing it in at the top here. What I then want to do is put a lip running all the way down the bottom like a stand it sits on. But rather than draw all of it in, I'm going to try and miss out this section because we won't ordinarily see that. So from the bottom corner here, I'm going to count 1 square down. And then from that point, I'm going to draw a 30-degree line to the left, which runs parallel with this one. And then I'm going to draw a 30-degree line going to the right, which is parallel with this line here. I then want to give it a thickness, so I'm just going to come down 1 or 2 squares. It's up to you. So I'll come down 2 squares. I'm going to go 30 degrees to the left. Again, this is running parallel with those 2 other lines. And the same with this one, is going to go 30 degrees to the right. Now what I want to do now is give the impression that it goes around the corner. So because I've come 1 square down here, at this corner here I'm going to go 1 square up and draw a 30-degree line down to the left. As soon as it hits that line there, it's going to go vertical. So it gives the impression that this lip goes around the back of the toaster. The same with this one, because I've come 1 square down here, I'm going to go 1 square up. It's going to go 30 degrees across here and then it's going to go down, so it gives the impression that that lip goes around the corner. The next thing I want to do is I want to shape the crate here. So we want to use a bit of isometric projection, so I want to do some markings here and then project that information to the other side. So I'm going to round this corner or fillet this corner. So I'm going to count down 2 squares and then 2 squares across, and I'm doing a segment of an isometric circle. So between these 2 points here, I'm just going to draw an arc between those 2. Now these 2 markers here, I'd like them on the same side in the same position. Now you can just measure them, or we can get into the habit of using isometric projection where you project that information at 30 degrees onto the other side. The same on here, project that to the other side on that section. So we can now draw our arc on this side. On the back here, we need to do the same, so we're going to count in 2 squares here and then down 2 squares. So this will be like the letter C from the isometric circle, so I'm going to draw my letter C in here. Now what I want to do then is project that marker across to the other side at 30 degrees to here. Now it would be good practice to make it transparent so I can see through and then mark the other point, but we can cheat here a little bit. We can bring our ruler down, and as soon as the ruler at 30 degrees, so it's at an angle of 30 degrees, it just touches the circumference of that arc. I'm just going to draw a diagonal 30-degree line, and just before it gets to the end here, I'm just going to round it just a little bit there. So all of this we'll eventually get rid of it on the outside. Then it'll allow me then to mark in where the slots for the toaster are going to go. So I'd like these to be parallel, so I'm just going to draw one 30-degree line, leave 2 spaces and then draw another, and I'm going to draw a vertical line to give the impression it goes in, and the same on the other side. I'm going to leave a little bit of a space, draw a 30-degree line across here, count 2 squares, or maybe not quite 2 squares. I'm going to draw a 30-degree line here, and then draw my vertical line down to the side. So it looks like you can go in to the top of it. All I want to do now is I'm going to draw the slot where that's going to go. So we would like the slot to protrude out, a bit like the panhandle we did a couple of lessons ago. So I'm going to try and find the middle on here. So I want to draw a vertical line, and another vertical line, and a 30-degree line. So this is a rectangle drawn on the side. It's not quite slight, it's not in the middle slightly, mine needs to go slightly to the right. We then want to mark on where the slot, the lever, will go. So I'm just going to count 1 square either side of this, so and draw a vertical line, and the same on this side. If I then connect them up with a 30-degree line and a 30-degree line, so at the moment it's just flat against the surface, I want to bring it out. So to do that, each of these 4 corners on that rectangle, we're going to bring them out 1 square at 30 degrees. So 1 square at 30 degrees, 1 square at 30 degrees, 1 square at 30 degrees. And I'm going to borrow some of the lines that I've already drawn in order to connect them up. So I've already got that one there. I just need to draw that one in, and then finally this one. And then lastly, if you want to round the bases, same technique you've used here for the rounding of the top of the toaster. Either side of this corner, I'm going to mark 1 square either side and draw a smile between the two. Those markers, I'm going to project them down vertically. I'm just going to draw a smile between those two. And then when I get to the back here, I'm going to count 1 square back, 1 square in, and then draw my backwards letter C. Again, I can cheat here by drawing a vertical line just before it gets to the bottom here. I'm just going to round that corner. And same on this one, I count 1 square in, 1 square back, and do my backwards letter C. If I then draw my vertical line just before it gets to the end, I'm going to round that. So eventually we'll get rid of this and this. Okay, so that's the construction of the toaster. If you're then doing the extension task, which is the kettle, just very quickly if I sketch this, you're just going to need a crate with a square top, just like you've done, or you did on the lesson 2 when we drew the isometric cylinders. If you mark in the middle a rectangle, make it transparent, we're going to put your isometric circles in the top, isometric circle in the bottom, connect the 2 of them up, and you can then draw a 30-degree line dissecting the top here. You can draw a little triangle, bring this out, and this can then be your handle for your toaster. Okay, so the second video for this lesson, we'll just look at the finish of the toaster.